Good morning. 1 Samuel 21 tells us that when David fled from the murderous King Saul, he tried to hide in the Philistine city of Gath. He was so desperate he was fleeing from one enemy to hide in another enemy's city. In fact, Goliath, his first kill, was from the city of Gath. When David got there, he was immediately recognized, and the servants brought King Achish of Gath to point David out to him. David realized his mistake, and immediately he pretended to have gone mad. He banged his head on the walls, he foamed at his mouth, and his spit was dripping down his beard. King Achish took one look at David and left him alone. Years later, David composed Psalm 34 to reflect on that day, and he sang God's praises with all his heart for rescuing him. He wrote, "I will extol the Lord at all times. I will glorify in the Lord. Glorify the Lord with me. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. Those who look to him are never covered with shame." Excuse me, David, banging your head on the wall and foaming at the mouth and spit tipping down your beard? No shame? No shame. David continues to write, "The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. Taste and see that the Lord is good." David saw no disconnect between God's deliverance and his own actions to protect himself. He probably reflected that quick thinking came from God himself. God protects us in different ways. He sometimes does it miraculously, or oftentimes he works with our own actions, with as simple a thing as that of wearing a seatbelt or putting on a helmet, or these days wearing a mask or putting on a glove, or staying home or keeping our distance from people when we're outside. Especially now that the government is looking to ease the restrictions for the in-shelter, we can also ease up on our precautions. God expects us to protect ourselves. Jesus did not jump from the roof of the temple when Satan egged him to show that he was some kind of a super preacher or super Christian. In fact, Jesus thought it a sin to foolishly expose oneself to danger. Faith does not mean the absence of wisdom. Protecting ourselves is not sin or lack of faith, especially if we have a condition that COVID-19 could worsen. Contrary to popular belief, Jesus is not a vaccine. And yet, we can bet that God's angels are encamped around us, as David saw with his eyes of faith. God is going to get us through this. He will have the last say against this virus. There are encouraging news about cures and vaccines being developed, so let us keep praying for a cure and a vaccine soon. Let us donate to those who are making PPEs or providing food. Let us thank God for and pray for the safety of the frontliners who continue to serve despite the dangers they expose themselves to and their loved ones. Let us be especially grateful to the grocery store workers, cashiers, and delivery people. Let us keep up with our supplications, stay home, keep safe, and save lives. The day is coming when we will reflect on God's deliverance, and like David, we will say, "Come and see, taste that the Lord is good." Amen.